we see that this nation is based upon stolen land, stolen labor, 300 years of free labor. I'm not sure if there's any small business owners in the house. Yeah. What could you do with 300 years of free labor? Yeah. That's a pretty good business in itself, right? Labor ready. That's the foundations of this nation. Now, I'm going to repeat the quotes that we started off this conversation with in the context of what we've been talking about. Hopefully, it's not quite as abstract as it was at the beginning. How do we change energy from something destructive and ugly into something constructive and beautiful? Because this is the punchline to it, folks. We're all in this together. We're stuck with each other. We ain't going no place. So all these radical ideas about things that might happen, and there's a book by Derek Bell, one of my literary heroes. Anybody know about Derek Bell? Yeah, bad dude. Anybody else that hasn't read him, I strongly encourage you to. But he talks about the space traders, which was based upon, and we'll talk about it in a little while, a movement in the 1850s and 1840s and 1830s, not by Donald Trump, not by Alex Jones or these other crazy folks, but by Alexander Hamilton and Francis Scott Key and Thomas Jefferson, the enlightened white folks, to send black people to Liberia or to Haiti. He said, we used up all their labor, gotta get rid of them. And this book, Derek Bell, is called Space Traders. Anybody read Space Traders?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I read it, yeah. Space Traders is incredible. But how do we change this energy? Because it's redirected. Steven Seagal, right? Our nation was born in genocide when it embraced the doctrine that the original American, the Indian, was an inferior race. Even before there were large numbers of Negroes on our shores, the scar of racial hatred had already disfigured colonial society. From the 16th century forward, blood flowed in battles of racial supremacy. We are perhaps the only nation which tried as a matter of national policy to wipe out its indigenous population. Moreover, we elevated that tragic experience into a noble crusade. Indeed, even say we have not permitted ourselves to feel remorse or reject for this shameful episode. Our literature, our films, our drama, our folklore, all exalted. Redskins, anybody? They exalted this image of a dead Indian. Our folklore sings about it. We love those songs. James Baldwin, the white policeman, finds himself at the very center of the revolution now occurring in the world. He is not prepared for it. Naturally, nobody is. And what is possibly much more to the point, he is exposed, as few white people are around him, to the anguish of the black people around him. One day, to everyone's astonishment, someone drops a match in the powder keg, and everything blows up. Before the dust has settled or the blood congealed, editorials, speeches, and civil rights commissions are loud in the land demanding to know what happened. You folks know what happened. Black folks demanded to be treated like human beings. Both of them talked about battles, about wars. That's what we see out there. When I hear Donald Trump's racist rhetoric, those are war words.
Yeah.
Those are proclamation of war.
Yeah.
When he talks about Mexican brothers and sisters being rapists and drug dealers, that's war words.
Mm-hmm.
You're declaring war on a population. And you realize what happens in war, people get hurt. People get hurt. And we are the ones that create the conversations around us. And we are the ones that have an obligation to point out when people say, well, talking about the past. It's talking about ancient history. If I'm not mistaken, this guy, Donald Trump, is running for president in 2015.
That's right.
If I'm not mistaken, Ben Carson is running for president in 2000. He's talking about Muslims, our Muslim brothers and sisters, how they are not competent and they have to question their allegiance. They're not competent to hold office in this land. Those are war words. We still sing those. That's not ancient history. We still sing those songs. We exalt those stories. So, the quote from James Baldwin, what if I told you it was from 1960 and not today? What if I told you that the racial battles that are being fought today are not, in fact, today's battles, but simply a redo, a do-over of unsettled racial battles? What if I told you that the battlegrounds of Ferguson, Baltimore in 2014, 2015, and all of the upcoming racial battles, because there's going to be more, they're really not about Ferguson, Baltimore, or any of those particular places, but they're about 1492.
That's right.
They're about the Mankato mass hangings of December 16, 1862, the largest mass hanging within the United States, and it was Dakota Indians. It's about 1896, the year Plessy v. Ferguson created this horrible doctrine of separate but equal. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's cool. It's about the Red Summer of 1919, where white mobs in more than 36 cities attacked black people without provocation between May and October of 1919. It's about the Sand Creek, Marias, and Wounded Knee massacres, where the white soldiers showed a propensity to attack native villages where the soldiers were gone. They were out hunting. And so they killed a whole bunch of women, children, old people. It's about the unprovoked racial assault on North Tulsa, called Black Wall Street, where whites attacked and literally burnt the black side of downtown down to the ashes and killed hundreds of folks, literally through Molotov cocktails and dynamite in destruction that left 1,000 people homeless. At that particular time, for those folks that don't know this, Black Wall Street, North Tulsa, had the largest concentration of millionaires in the nation. And it was all black folks. And afterwards, you had 1,000 homeless black folks. These battles are about Joe Coe, Emmett Till, internment camps of Japanese, the Chinese Expulsion Act, slavery, Jim Crow, genocide, forced tubal ligation of native women, which still occurred. This ain't ancient history, remember we're talking. It occurred until the late 1970s, so within my lifetime, they would take native women, Indian Health Services, who has a trust responsibility by virtue of treaty to treat native people, my family. And they have an obligation to do this in a way because it's a trust responsibility. So you're the trustee in a relationship. You're supposed to do that as if you were you. They have this legal responsibility, but that's not what they did. They said, you native lady, you're incompetent to be a mother. We do not trust your decision-making ability to be a mother. So what we're going to do, because we don't want a whole bunch of those little damn Indian kids running around, we are going to forcefully ligate the fallopian tubes, tie your tubes, so you cannot have children. This is empirical fact. This isn't me speaking. This is public record. Within my lifetime. So I don't know how many cousins, my cousins, how many of my sisters and brothers, who knows? I was the baby. You don't know how many children were stolen as a result of these actions within our lifetime, not ancient history. about the Tuskegee experiments. In all of these unjust racial battles,